You thought you had daddy issues, sacrificed by her own adoptive father due to his love for her. Yeah, Gamora's death on Vormir is quiet, awful, and completely unexpected. Thanos climbs the rocky slope, and the price is clear: a soul for a soul. Gamora fights him because she knows the cost and what it's gonna mean for everybody. But he chooses her. He squeezes the life out of the only person who could have made him human again. That choice transforms Thanos from a tyrant to a tragic figure. You watch the only woman who ever mattered to him die, and you feel the entire scale of his emptiness. No swelling, triumphant music, just wind and loss. The way the camera holds the aftermath feels like a punishment, a close-up on grief that refuses to offer answers. He dies, twice, but the pain is still the same. Vision's death is procedural and then catastrophic. First, Wanda rips the Mind Stone out to save the world, tearing into a man that she loves and silencing him. The scene is raw: the tears, the desperation, the burning realization that love demands impossible choices. Then, Thanos rewinds the clock and snatches the stone back, and with it, Vision's second final extinguishing. 2 deaths, 1 heartbreak. The sight of Wanda's screaming face as light and life leave Vision is a cinematic gut punch. It's brutally dressed as inevitability, and it forces the audience to ask what love actually costs when worlds are at stake. A blur becomes a stopping point. Quicksilver sprints into bullets. That's the whole beat: explosive, sudden, and protective. He dives into harm's way to shield a kid in Hawkeye, and the camera lingers on the snap of impact. One moment of lightning-fast grace. The next, silence. Pietro's sacrifice reorients the battle stakes and humanizes ultra-violent chaos. It's short, but unforgettable. A moment that cuts youth and hope in half. The rawness comes from how ordinary it feels. He shields others because it's who he is. No speech needed. That selflessness lands harder because it's offered without drama. It's just pure instinct. The smartest man in the room who loves his snacks uses the only answer left. As the name indicates, at this point, the Avengers were at their endgame. A massive war is going on between the forces of good and evil. But in all of that chaos, Iron Man manages to outsmart Thanos, taking all the Infinity Stones out of the gauntlet and recreating it on his own suit using its nanotechnology. Tony snaps. He puts on a ring of death and power and says the words that end a saga. The victory is instantaneous and total. The price, though, is accurate and final. Atomic, gamma, and absolute. Watching Stark collapse after freeing the universe isn't a spectacle, it's a homecoming and a funeral wrapped all into one. Friends cry, the camera pulls back, the irony tastes metallic. The man who built weapons gave his life to stop them. His last moments are equal parts triumph and quiet ruin, a genius who finally accepts the cost and pays with his breath. That final cutaway, the way people gather, it's a public mourning that feels private at the same time. A legend bleeds out like an old human. Logan is tired. The claws are less miraculous, the healing isn't what it used to be, and the world has aged him into a memory. When X-24 impales him, it doesn't feel cinematic so much as inevitable, a quiet, stubborn ending to a life of violence. He dies, still trying. The scene is small but devastating. A hand on a throat, a muffled breath, and a goodbye that tastes like rust and rain. The film gives him dignity in the end, a scraped, honest farewell that feels earned. Logan's death reads like a confession to a world he never quite fixed. But that leads to Deadpool and Wolverine, so it's all good. Ah, the famous fall that still stings. Gwen's death is cruel and textbook. A fall, a failed save, the snap. The stakes here are personal. Spider-Man watches helplessly as timing and physics betray him. The camera refuses to flinch. Emma Stone's face becomes a monument to loss. It's one of those moments that defines a franchise, an instant where the hero learns that love and responsibility are not abstract rules, but painful classwork. The silence after the snap is long. It hangs like a question with no answer. You replay the scene not to see how she dies, but to look for where the save might have been possible. That search eventually becomes grief. The space pirate Mary Poppins teaches fatherhood with a final breath. Yondu gives everything to make sure the Quill survives. Everything's falling apart, Rocket and the crew running for a ship, and Yondu stays. He dies with a smile and a regret, but he leaves legacy and a whistle. It's kind of an emotional pivot for Guardians. The found family proves it's real and costly. His funeral song hits everybody. Those final notes feel like a promise. Family's chosen, even in death. Yondu's sacrifice rewrites the crew's history, and it forces a kid to become a man by losing the man who made him feel like one. The trickster means finality. Loki's murders feel a little personal. The choke of Thanos is small and monstrous, a twist of metal, a snapped throat, and a god falls. We remember all the earlier resurrections and tricks, so this death kinda lands like a teacher's ruler across the back of hope. It's swift, it's humiliating, and it's also strangely poetic. The image of Loki's bloodied face under Thanos' hand is a reminder. No one's immune, not even the cleverest. His loss resonates because he's both villain and victim, and the franchise loses a voice. Every quip that came before echoes in that silence, making the moment just a little bit more bitter. Ah, poor old Phil, a paper cut to a myth. Coulson's death is sparse and human. Stabbed in the back by Loki, he dies on a cot with a single file folder and a badge. This isn't a dramatic cosmic finale, a single quiet death that propels ordinary people into extraordinary action. Watching other heroes gather around his body gives the moment its real weight. It's not the loss of a king, but the loss of a friend. The small center that makes the big machine care. Coulson's death proves the stakes are real and not reserved for gods. It's the kind of loss that turns mythology into straight motivation. He falls beneath the weight of a world that he couldn't let die. Doomsday is a moving mountain of bone and anger, and the city around him is a broken echo. Superman fights like an answer, every punch a promise, but even answers have limits. When the kryptonite spear appears, it's an ugly, honest choice. Stab the monster and hope the wound kills it, or do nothing and watch everything burn. He drives the spear in. The beast staggers. For a breath, triumph feels possible. And then Doomsday lashes out with a jagged bone spike and drives it through Superman's chest. It's sudden, it's terrible, it's definitely no hero montage. No heroic last line or final words, just a man whose light goes dim while the world keeps roaring. The camera lingers on that collapse. Cape sodden, eyes fading, and the sound drops to a thin, painful hush. Batman and the rescuers can only look. That death reads like a lesson. Being assembled sometimes means paying the ultimate toll so strangers can survive. You really feel the cost in the silence that follows. Didn't really expect a god to fall so quietly. The theatrical deaths aren't always the most devastating. Sometimes it's the small, personal moment that shreds you the most. A whispered line before a fatal blow. A look. The cheap pyrotechnics are forgettable. The quiet beats, those live in your chest. In film, death is a punctuation mark, but the ones that linger, those are written in the margins. So which of these hits you the hardest? The noble sacrifice, the accidental tragedy, the trickster's fall? They're all different kinds of sorrow. Let us know which ones you replay at night and why. And if you want more deep dives like this, make sure you hit like and subscribe. We'll keep walking through the moments that hurt the most.